welcome to all of you. I see Adelina, Alexa, Amanda, Kristen, Maggie, Margaret, Shelley. I am so pleased that each of you are here and here early. You are better people than me. So thank you and welcome for joining us early. And so I'm so delighted to introduce you guys. If you haven't already met or seen Snowden, I know if you live in our local area in North Florida, you probably already know Snowden or have seen her speak at one of our events, came to her phenomenal She is Fierce talk. Maybe you've read one of her 6 books or seen her at an award ceremony. Snowden is an incredible mentor in our community and at the broader community of women at large. And I'm honored to have her here with us today to talk about something that I know is very close to both of our hearts, which is helping women online. And in this particular moment, every single one of us is in this online space in a way that we haven't been before. And that's true for me. And I've been doing online video for a very long time, but I've never done it with my kids in the background and having to adapt and making sure that everybody's doing their homework at the same time. So each of us has our own challenges. We're learning how to present ourselves in the best way. I know, I'm sure we have people who will be joining us today or watching this, watching the after recording, who will have come to our branding seminar, who have been to our online sales seminars, and each and every one of you knows the importance of showing up and being present in a really powerful way online, especially right now. So I'm honored to have this phenomenal woman, Snowden McFall, with us today. I'm going to let her do a little introduction because she can speak even better about everything that she does and what she's going to talk to us about today. So Snowden, I am going to, in just a moment, and for everybody that's watching, I am going to mute my audio because I do have 2 children in the other room, which is what I just said. And I will sneak away on video, but I will be here. I will be in the chat if you have questions, and I will also return at the end for a little Q&A. And if you have specific questions for Snowden or for me, just drop them into our Q&A or our chat, and I will make sure we get to them. So Snowden, thank you so much for joining us today. I am honored to be able to pass this over to you and ask you to share your wisdom with us.
Thank you, Kelly. It's my pleasure to be here. And what you folks, Kelly didn't share with you is that I'm married to the most wonderful man in the world, but I did not take his last name because it's Whiting, and I would be Snow White. What we're here to do today is to help you be as effective as possible online, because that's the way the world is going. It's been going that way for a long time. And yes, hopefully there will still be events. I'm a professional speaker, so I still hope that there are live events, but we want you to be as effective online as possible. And I want you to be able to sell more, to add value, and to make a difference in those you serve. And I know that those are all some of the reasons. And what I would love is right now in the chat room, please tell me why you're here. Are you trying to sell more? Are you leading events? Are you serving? What is it that you're doing? What is your why? So just put that in the chat room. And Kelly, I see from the chat room that all the video for all the participants is off. Is that deliberate? I can't hear you because you turned yourself off.
Yes, I was trying to make sure you guys didn't hear any of the background noise. I am going to be in here answering questions or prompting you, Snowden, if that's okay. If anyone has specific questions, I know you can also see the chat. So you guys are very welcome to put your questions. If there's anything you want to make sure that we cover today, put them in there in the Q&A or the chat, and we will make sure to prompt them. So Snowden, I will pass it over to you, and I'm here just kind of helping make things happen.
Great. Okay, so I know you're going back on mute. Thanks so much. So tell me why. So a women's empowerment coach, and she wants to help women. That's awesome. And so are you doing online presentations, Alexa? Are you working one-on-one with people? Is your desire to be better online so that you can be more effective at that? I'm assuming all of that, but I'll let you answer. And so everybody can put in their different reasons. Your why is everything to presenting in person and to presenting online, because you really want to serve those that you care about, those in your community, those who mean the most to you. You want to serve them in the most powerful way possible. One of the most effective things you can do when you're speaking online is to have a picture right next to your computer or your webcam that is the ideal client that you're speaking to, so that you have a very clear image in your mind of who it is you want to reach and what it is you want to share to them. And you can imagine their reactions as you go forward. Someone else, let's see, Margaret says she's changing from her change management position and working with other women on an online course, which is terrific. And selling more online is also very important. We're all here to grow our businesses. Kelly, one of the things you don't know about me is I'm a certified money business breakthrough coach with Kendall Summerhawk. So I help women grow their businesses, make more money, and own their worth. So I'm going to ask everybody who's here right now to do a little exercise with me. You're gonna, and Kelly, you can watch and follow along and model it for them. We're gonna take our hands and bring your hands up, and you're gonna rub your hands together. And as you rub your hands together, what you are doing is you are balancing the right and left hemispheres of your brain. And you're making yourself more creative and more open to possibilities, and you're tapping into both the logic and to the right brain, empathetic part of yourself. So you want to get yourself into state. So everybody do this now. Rub your hands together, okay? So now you're open, and I want you to say to yourself silently, I claim my power. And own that about yourself, because if you're going to present online or you're going to present on stage, you need to claim your power. Every single one of you has amazing gifts and talents to share. All of you have the opportunity to make a huge difference and make even more money online than you ever imagined. We're moving into a new era, and it's going to be virtual. So your ability to reach people is so important right now. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to cover today. I promised to share with you the do's and don'ts of being online, Zoom, Facebook Live, other formats. I promised to share with you ways that you can engage your audiences, and I just demonstrated a couple right now. I've had you speak in the chat room, and I've had you use your hands. You want to engage your audiences to make sure that they're with you. And this is both in person and online, but especially online, because people can be doing 5 other things while they're listening to you. Some people can be on their email. Other people are managing their children. You want to hold their focus, and you do that by engaging them. And then I'm also going to tell you the #1 thing to avoid when you're online. So I'm going to share my screen with you. This, I thought, was a hysterical image, because it showed you what people are like with audio only on Zoom and with video. And I had to laugh because almost every single woman that I know demonstrates this, and it cracks me up because, you know, if we got to be online with video, we got to go put on our makeup, we've got to have on the right clothes, we've got to have everything together. And that can be more stressful, but it's important, especially if you're the presenter. So I want you to set yourself up for success. Women, the clothes that you wear, the makeup and the jewelry, all of that is really important on Zoom, on Facebook, on GoToMeeting, on WebEx. You want no stripes or prints. You want solids. And if you're wearing clothes that clash with your virtual background, you're going to appear to be an alien. And we don't want that, right? We don't want to have our head just floating in space. One of the hardest things for me, most of you know me who have seen me speak before, I often wear blue when I speak. But in my virtual background here, it's blue. So if I wear blue, I'd be a floating head. You want to wear flat jewelry. Anything that is going to get in the way or a thin chain won't work on video or on TV. I'm also a TV host. I host a show called Ignite Success and have for the last year and a half. And I learned some of these things from my coaching client, Melanie Lawson. You want to wear earrings that are either bright and colorful or white to draw the eye to the face. You want to wear a little more makeup than you normally would because the lights that we're using, and I'll talk about lights, tend to wash us out online. So a little bit more. Don't be, overblown, and this is not the time for the smoky eye, but you just want to have a little more color in your face. Your background is really important. Do not have a lot of clutter around you because it will clutter your thinking when you're presenting. Turn off your telephones. Turn off any notifications on your computer, anything that would beep or ding. I've been listening to a webinar series that I bought from a woman who's speaking about presenting on stages, and she's got great content, but she didn't turn off her notifications. And every few minutes, a beep on her computer comes through. It's very distracting to the viewer. Those of you creating online courses, remember that everything else is off on your computer except what you're doing. And no food, pets, or kids. Kelly has turned her audio off because of her children. Some of you may have seen that really funny newscast. I felt so bad for this guy over in Europe who was presenting, he was an expert and he was presenting his intellectual property. And then what happened is his little girl comes running in and she is screaming, hey daddy, and the mom comes running and grabs the little girl. So you want to make sure all those things are taken care of. My cats are with my husband in another room right now because otherwise they'd want to be up here on the computer. So that's how you set yourself up for success. Zoom, using Zoom. Most people are using Zoom, although more and more people are going to other formats, and Google has a format and Microsoft has a format and there's WebEx, there's a number of them. Here's a couple of universal principles, do's. Do use lights and make sure your light is fairly even on all sides of your face. And you can bring in lights from all different places. Be aware that when you're using a virtual background, the wrong kind of light, like windows, will impact the way your background presents itself. Use a better microphone than on your computer if you are going to be doing online courses, presenting webinars, or presenting yourself as an expert on a regular basis. I've got a lavalier mic on. It's plugged into my computer through an adapter, and that enables me to speak more clearly and for you to hear me better. And if you're really going to be state-of-the-art, you can get yourself a webcam, and a high quality webcam, and have it right above your computer. Make sure you have the host video on and you mute all your participants. I can't tell you how many Zoom meetings I've been to where they've forgotten to do that, and we hear people's dogs barking and everything else. Do require a password, and you can embed the password in the Zoom link. This is so important right now with security, because there have been many porn bombers, believe it or not, into meetings like this. And if there isn't a password, they can hack in and bomb your meeting, and you don't want to have anything destroy your credibility. We're talking about your credibility, your ability to sell, your ability to influence, your ability to have value for your customers, for your prospects, for all the people in your community. So be mindful of that. Do enable the chat because we want to hear from people. We want to know what's going on. And do use virtual backgrounds. And so this is the virtual background that you can see here. And the virtual backgrounds, you can find a whole bunch of them. And there's a lot of things online about setting up your virtual background. But you'll notice in my virtual background, I've got my corporate logo on it. Always a good thing to do. Little extra secret, you see at the bottom of this slide where there's one person who didn't have her video showing. You have the opportunity in Zoom to go into your settings and you can actually hide anybody who's not on camera. That works better if you're trying to show a big audience of people in your presentations. So for just a minute, I'm going to stop my sharing, and I want to see if there's any questions that anybody has so far about what I've said. Anybody have any questions? about anything. You can put them right into the chat room. Anything about setting up Zoom or how to make things work? Okay, you can let me know, Kelly, and I'm going to go back to the presentation.
Yes, I'm going to keep an eye on it. And I just want to reiterate, if you don't mind me jumping in, I want to reiterate that every single one of these things that you're saying is so important. And I think that it's so easy to forget or to not realize the impact that that has. But when you're sitting behind a screen, it's a completely different experience than we get in real life. And I think
Right.
that I just want to take a moment to say that. And some of the simple things that you said, not wearing stripes, making sure that you're wearing simple colors or bright colors. I have on way more makeup than I normally would put on on
Right.
a Wednesday morning. And it doesn't, I'm sure, look like that to you. But to me, when I look in the mirror right now, I think, yikes. But on video, it doesn't show up. So all of those little tips that you had are really important and help you to make that impact. So I just want to reiterate that and say, well done, Snowden. And go ahead, guys, and please do put your questions in the chat. I know you'll probably do them all at the end, but if you have them, drop them in now and we'll make sure to address them. I'm going to sneak back out just to make sure I don't disrupt anything.
There is a question now. One of them was, what program do you use to add your brand to the virtual background? And I happen to know how to, I've owned an ad agency for 30 years, so I know about graphic design. You could do it in Canva very easily from what I hear. And so I didn't do it there. I used it in my Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop, but you can also use it in Canva. I hear does a great job with that. So thank you for asking. Okay, I'm going to move on. One of the things you want to be very, very careful about is not memorizing your content, because you'll forget and then you're stuck. Melanie Lawson, who is one of my coaching clients and who's been a speaker for She Is Fierce, and she is a fabulous anchor woman. And for those of you who live in North Florida, you know that. Melanie's terrific. When we first started coming together to work as a coach and client, she was preparing for a very big speech. And she said, well, I've got all these note cards and I'm going to have them here. I'm going to have you. No, you don't want to use a lot of note cards. What you do want to do instead is have an outline for yourself prepared. And then you're going to use a very cool secret that I'm going to share with you right here. And that is computer wings. See this picture right here? That is my laptop as I was preparing for this morning's presentation. You put sticky notes all around your computer with your key points. This comes from Juliet Funt, a colleague of mine in National Speakers Association. She uses thin little strips. That for me, I need bigger so I can see more. But you can use this kind of tool for yourself when you're presenting, and then all your key ideas are right there. Don't go in cold to a presentation. What I mean by that is know who your audience is. Research them. Find out about them. I'm fortunate that I have had the opportunity to speak at She Is Fierce, I guess it's 3 times now, and or 4, because I did presentation on networking as well. And I love the She Is Fierce community because you are all awesome women. And I know that you're growing, you're learning, you're advancing, you're growing your businesses, you're moving up in your careers. And I know that you're dynamite. And I also know you're working on yourselves. And I love working with that kind of woman. That's so exciting to me, because my life purpose is about liberating women from restriction and helping you share your gifts and talents with the world, standing in your full and radiant power. And so know who your audience is before you speak. If you've been asked to speak on somebody else's webcast, maybe they've got some summit or some other big event and they want you to be one of their virtual speakers, learn as much as you can about your audience before you go in. Stand up while you're speaking. I am standing right now. That's going to give you a whole lot more energy. And your breath will come up from your diaphragm. When we're sitting, we tend to be hunched over, leaning towards the computer. That is not the best way to present. Make sure that you tell stories and don't talk in a monotone. So I had the wonderful opportunity to coach Lakeisha Burton. And again, she's another fierce speaker. Lakeisha is the most amazing woman. She's assistant chief in the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And she has an incredible story about abuse and domestic abuse and sexual abuse. And it's a very powerful, compelling story. But when we first started working together, she would speak in a monotone like this about it. And that's very common for survivors of trauma. And so we had to work on getting her to have vocal variety and enthusiasm about the good parts of her story and intense, deep, powerful messages. She would change her voice and she would make a presentation that would have much greater impact. And she did that. You can see the She is Fierce video of her, and she was amazing. She's an incredible woman. And she learned to use vocal variety and pauses. So practicing makes all the difference. I want to go back here for a second and give you one more tip here in terms of making sure that you're staying in touch with your clients and making sure that you do what they need most. So right now, what I'd like everybody to do is stand up. I'd like you to stand up where you are. And you probably remember the Wonder Woman posture. Most of us have seen it through Amy Cuddy. But you put your hands on your hips, you bend your knees, your feet are about a foot apart, your chest is out. And the research is if you stand in this posture for 2 minutes, you shift your nerves, the cortisol, the fear, into positive serotonin hormones, and your endorphins start flowing and you feel better and you're more confident. And the research study showed that those who had done this posture were more confident in their job interviews. Breathe deeply. Take in air right now. Hold it and let it out. Do that 3 times. You have a lot more oxygen, a lot more opportunity, and a lot more ways to stay in touch with your audience. Okay, we're going to go back to the PowerPoint because I want to share with you how to keep your audience engaged. We just did something there, right? I just had you do Wonder Woman. You can get people up. You can ask questions. Zoom has a polls function, and you can poll your audience live. You can use physical movement. You get everybody dancing in a dance party. I've seen a lot of people who have long programs do that. If you're going to be in a call for more than an hour, have people take 5-minute breaks because you need some downtime and they need some downtime to focus. Take a photo of everybody in the group and send it to them afterwards. And use breakout rooms. Breakout rooms are wonderful to encourage people to network with each other. I want to offer you something for free. I have a free report called Shift Nerves into Excitement to be a Confident Speaker, and I would love to send it to you. If you email me at snowden@firedupnow.com and say free report, you can also say, yes, I'm interested in the complimentary coaching assessment. I'm giving away 5 complimentary coaching assessments to help you become more effective as an online presenter. And so just email me at snowden@firedupnow.com, and that will enable you to be able to access that. I promised also to show you one thing to avoid, and that is death by PowerPoint. Look at this PowerPoint slide. It exemplifies so many things that are wrong with most people's PowerPoints. The type is tiny. There's a ton of it, and it's the wrong point size, and nobody could read it. You need to use a dark background. You need to use contrasting point sizes and type. You should be at least 32 or 36 point type for people to see what your message is. And you should have graphics. Make your images visual. Make sure that people can do what they need to do and get the information. And do not read your PowerPoint, because then why do they need you? Your energy is so important. Your vitality, your wisdom and expertise. You have everything you need inside of you to be successful as an online presenter. I want to share with you a closing poem that's always inspired me. So let me stop my screen sharing here. Whatever your mind can conceive and achieve, it will do so. Dream great dreams and make them come true. Do it now. You are unique. In all the history of the world, there was never anyone else exactly like you. And in all the infinity to come, there will never be another you. Never affirm self-limitations. What you believe yourself to be, you are. Believing is magic. You can always better your best. You don't know what you can do until you try. There is no failure except in no longer trying. Hazy goals produce hazy results. Clearly define them, write them down, make a plan for achieving them, and go after them. Just don't look back unless you want to go that way. Wishing will not bring success, but planning, persistence, and a burning desire will. There is a gold mine within you from which you can extract all the necessary ingredients. Success is an attitude. Get yours right. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Snowden. I have to say, I love how you always start and cap your speeches as well. So I know today we're focusing specifically on online tips and tricks, but I also wanted to make sure, and I just put a little question in there for everybody that is in our chat. What questions do you have specifically? What are you struggling with? Let us answer a few of those questions for you. And Snowden, you did such a beautiful job talking through some of the specific strategies around online, but I also think that you kind of mentioned this a little bit with Melanie Lawson, you do a fantastic job of taking people who are already good speakers and helping them get to an even kind of more powerful level. And so one of the things that I would love to talk through and to kind of answer for women who are here is, you know, how do we take where we are and get it to that next level when we are not in person? Because I know a lot, and you talked about the power of energy, right?
Right.
A lot of that impact comes from the energy that you bring to a room, the physical experience of being in the room with you, if you are bringing that confidence to the table. And it can be difficult to express that in the online space. So I would love to maybe talk through just how you find it's best to translate that online. I know have my own kind of thoughts and experiences with that as well, but can you talk us through your questions or your kind of feedback on that? And I would love for you guys to ask your specific questions in our chat, because I know you have them and you're being modest and discreet and trying not to ask them, but go for it, because this is your chance. I love it.
Hey, Melissa. I'm so
there's
happy
Melissa.
To see
Melissa here.
Yeah, that's
we'll
awesome.
Get to your question. Yay.
So you'll get that in the Shift from Nerve to Excitement document, Melissa. And so just send me an email for that. You have to be conscious of watching yourself. So one of the things you do to get rid of ums in presentations and any kind of transition words, a lot of people use, you know, that sort of thing. Watch yourself on video and really practice. I mean, the key to all successful speakers is tons and tons and tons of practice. And so you watch yourself, you have a coach, you get somebody who will stop you and teach you and show you other transitions, and you fill in transition words for yourself. When you've practiced your speech, and there are some really cool memory techniques that I teach in my online course, Ignite Your Online Speaking Success, that will teach you how to actually learn through the room and put your key points through the room. And That way, once you see your cue points, you'll never need your ums because you already know exactly what you're going to say. And if you're doing it on your online presentations, things like what I've got here with my little sticky notes all around, those are cues for you. So those will prevent you from having the So great question. Thank you.
That is a great question. And I just want to say, Melissa, because I have seen you speak in front
Yeah,
of
she is
hundreds of
terrific.
people, that you are a phenomenal speaker.
Yeah, she
And
is.
I think it's also, if you don't mind me saying this, Melissa, I think that's a great example of the fact that I, as someone who sat in the audience and watched you speak, was blown away. And yet you are saying, I think I say too much. And that comes back to just knowing how just incredible you are as a speaker. So I hope I'm trying to look at the camera so you hear this, Melissa, on the other side, and know that I mean, I personally was blown away by your talk just a few months ago. So I think that having that confidence, and Snowden, you kind of spoke to this a little bit, but being able to come into the space and kind of take up, I mean, you guys can see an empty room in my house behind me. I'm at home today, not even at our office. And kind of come into your own space and say, okay, I'm here and I'm going to bring the energy into the space as well.
And you have to stand up because you really have got, I mean, I spend a lot of time before my presentation getting into state. If any of you ever followed neurolinguistic programming or Anthony Robbins, Tony Robbins, talk about getting into state. I pray, you know, I'm a person of faith and spirituality. And so I pray that I'm of the highest service possible to my audience. I do Wonder Woman. I grow roots out of my feet to get grounded. I start getting myself into energy. Some people jump up and down to get their energy up. That's really important. I do vocal exercises. There's a whole litany of things you can do to get yourself into state. You've got to bring the energy. I mean, right now, I just see beautiful Kelly's face. Sometimes when I don't see everybody else's faces. So sometimes for me, part of how I get my energy is when I can see all the faces of people and I'm getting thumbs up. That's another way you can get people engaged. I see them raising their hands. I see them standing up to breathe or do Wonder Woman or whatever it is I've asked them to do. That keeps me engaged. When it's only me, just talking to me, that's much harder, much harder. So even if you could have somebody from your family in the room with you who's like, you know, giving you a thumbs up, to have another human being there helps a great deal. And if you can't, imagine one of your favorite human beings there.
I love that. And I have to say, you know, just to reiterate that, you know, knowing that Melissa is here, seeing Mary Lee is here, knowing Karen is here, names of people that I know and I can imagine them on the other side of the screen is helpful to me when I'm speaking online, right? So even though you can't see them, I know that they have beautiful smiling faces that are on the other side of the screen. And that helps me to kind of bring my energy. And then I think sometimes we have, you know, we have an audience that goes well beyond the community of people that I've met in person.
Right.
And so sometimes you do have to kind of ask the question, which you spoke to, and say, how can I be of the best service to you today, right? Because I think we are able to bring that confidence and that energy that you're talking about when we know we're actually helping, right? And I think for women in particular, it can be difficult when you feel like I'm just talking at you and begging you to listen. And it's different when you think I'm actually doing something that might be of service to you, right? So
Well,
kind of
and
changing your mindset.
I think that's especially important for women. I know last week, I'm sure for all of you, you've had up and down days through this COVID-19. And I'm an extrovert, so I need people. I miss people. I miss being in person with people. I adore my husband, but you know, I could use some other stimulation. So last week I was having a tough day and 3 of my coaching clients had little crises and they needed me. And I felt like $1 million after I got off those calls because I was able to help them and make a difference. And I think for most women, we're here because we want to make a difference. Yes, we want to sell product and services because we need to keep our businesses going to help our families. But we're here to make a difference. And I believe women are the future of the planet. So yay, women.
Yes, I love that. And I love my husband too, who is, again, in another room, such a different time. But I do think that, you know, I want to just take a moment. So Maggie, thank you so much. She's commenting that she teaches Reiki and tapping and emotional freedom techniques. And she just is saying, thank you to you, Snowden. And then Mary Lee is saying, I like having audience videos up. How do you balance that with bandwidth challenges? And I'm going to pass that question to you, Snowden, but can I add one comment on
Yes,
there?
please.
You might pick this apart, so I'm going to let you pick it apart online if you disagree. But what I have found for myself is that it's better to do a version of what we're doing right now when you are instructional, and to have a meeting and just accept the fact that not everybody's going to come through well when you're doing a mastermind or when you are trying to just be social, and to kind of frame them differently. But Snowden, you
Well,
pick that apart.
completely. No, completely. And the question from Mary Lee, bandwidth is a real issue these days because more people are online than ever before. And it's a really tricky thing. Obviously shutting down every other application or program on your computer, except for Zoom. And if you are going to use a few audio, video, easy for me to say. See, and that's what you got to be able to do, folks, is laugh at yourself and have a comeback when you screw up, because we are all going to make mistakes, right? So, but when you have audience videos up, try and only have one up at a time. That will help. Don't have them all open, because I know it takes a little longer when you're doing screen sharing, but it will help with your bandwidth. And I got a tip last week, which was really fascinating. And that was to start your meetings not at the top of the hour, but actually start your meetings like at 10:15 or 11:15, because everybody comes on to Zoom, WebEx, GoToMeeting at the top of the hour. So start them a little bit later. And that seems to help with bandwidth as well. They say being wired to your internet connection rather than being wireless also helps with bandwidth. I'm open, Kelly, if you have anything else.
Yeah, I mean, the being wired is a really technical and boring thing, but really, really works. So that's a great tip. And then the other thing I would say is accepting flaws, right? I will tell you guys, if you have come to some of our sessions, I have had 2 live sessions with a guest where we were having a conversation that we're talking now, but a little different, where I was actually leading the session, drop out, and the guest be there by themselves where my internet went off and I had to come back on. And of course that's like horrifying, but also it happens, right? And I think that especially in this moment, let's just ask people for grace, right? It wasn't my fault. I didn't do anything to create that problem. I had everything set properly, but sometimes the internet goes out and you don't have control over that. So being able to kind of accept that it might not be your ideal situation, and instead of getting clammy and nervous and terrified of admitting that, just saying, look, I mean, I'm used to this now because I'm always dealing with a million things. I'm sorry, let's move on and make this better, right?
Right,
and not everybody stayed. The people that I had as guests did a phenomenal job and kept the conversation going. And I dropped back in and they didn't even need me. So a lot of times the fear that we have is not truly related to possible outcomes.
Right, and that goes to another very important do. Do be yourself. Do be authentic. Do be real. We're all going to make mistakes, but don't apologize profusely. Women apologize for themselves constantly. Yes, there might be an AV glitch, and you say, whoops, little AV glitch, lost my connection to Zoom, and then go right back into your presentation. Women beat themselves up and they do mea culpa. And stop doing that. Stop. There's a book, Rachel Hollis, Girls Stop Apologizing. It's the same thing. We just are continually apologizing and saying we're sorry. So don't do that, but just do be real. And if things happen, they happen. And you just acknowledge them and you keep moving forward, because that's what professionals do on the live stage. Let me tell you, plenty of mistakes, plenty of things have gone wrong. Yeah. I've experienced that in my 25 years as a professional speaker. All sorts of things go wrong. You have to be in the moment. You have to handle it, because that audience is expecting you to lead.
Yes.
If you show nerves, if you show upset, they'll get upset. They want you to succeed. Same thing is true online.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to reiterate everything you're saying, and say how true it is. And I want to also say one thing which you already demonstrated, Snowden, but that you do really well, and I think is a really impactful reason that your coaching clients for speaking in particular do so well, is that you teach them to prepare, right? And not necessarily to prepare their talk, but to prepare emotionally, to prepare physically in advance. And I know, especially, I mean, those of you who are longtime followers of She is Fierce, you know, normally sometimes we have events, there's 200 people at the event, and I'm rushing around trying to make sure the event is happening, and then I'm jumping on stage, and then I'm running off. And I have been learning from Snowden and some other beautiful women like her, the power of just taking that pause in between, so that all of that content, which you know so well, can be expressed in the most impactful way, right? And that is 100% true in the online space, where you also have the chaos of your day-to-day life and your family and your other needs and your cats and whatever it is that may be disrupting that experience. All right,
And
so
just
before we wrap up, what other questions can we answer for you guys? And Snowden, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's right. I was just going to say, I do coach people on their content too, because you got to prepare that as well. It's all levels.
I am assuming that they are all brilliant and already have phenomenal content, but you're absolutely right. And I think that, you know, having that strong foundation and feeling good about what you have prepared is really important. And then taking, you know, and I've learned this from you, taking that moment, getting centered in yourself, and being able to kind of express yourself and express your content in the best way possible.
Right.
All right, do we have any last questions before we go ahead and wrap up? And Snowden, I want to make sure that before we do, you have time to do exactly what you're about to do and share with everybody the opportunity, the fantastic opportunity that you are offering today.
If people go to this link, on camera image, firedupnow.com/on camera image with hyphens between on camera and image, there is a whole page there about my new online group training program, where I teach you how to be successful online. And because you are part of Fierce, there is a $300 savings between now and June 1st. So it's a 6-session, 3-week course. It's an intensive on Ignite your online speaking success. And we go into all the nitty-gritties and all the things that come up. And if you register by June 1st, you also get a one-on-one private coaching session with me. So that's a special deal for Fierce.
Yes, so I hope everybody will go and check that out. And then let's see if we have any last questions, drop them in. You can always send me or Snowden a message in our She is Fierce Facebook group. If you're not already in there, you've got to get in there. We are doing a ton of new stuff in there, in addition to a bunch of free community coaching series sessions just like this that we already have in there, and that are available to you for free, in addition to all of our incredible content that we have for our members within our membership. So go ahead and email Snowden, check out her link, and reach out to us if you have additional questions or just need a little bit of help in this crazy online worlds that we're all living in now.
And know that you make a huge difference just by who you are. Yes. You have incredible gifts to share with the world, and don't hold back. Share the very best of yourself, because you never know whose life you're making an impact on.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to end it. And I just want to say thank you. I know I certainly appreciate your time today, Snowden. I know everybody else does. And I'm so grateful to all of you guys for joining us. It's wonderful to have you as a part of our community. I hope you will join me tomorrow if you are an entrepreneur and you are working on your online sales funnel. This is something I get asked about all the time. I work with really big Fortune 500 companies on this, and small and mid-sized companies sometimes as well. And it's something that I don't talk about as much in our online space, but I know that now is the time when everybody needs this information, because we are all trying to sell more in the online space instead of our bricks and mortar or our person-to-person sales processes. So join me tomorrow if you are working on your online sales funnel and trying to figure out how to take all of this stuff that we learned today from Snowden and translate that into sales and getting new clients for yourself or your business. So I cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow, and I'm so grateful to you for joining us, and Snowden, especially to you for your wisdom. Thank you.
My pleasure. Have a great day. Stay fierce.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.